just gonna go to create, table design. And we're adding the item type ID, first field. With field, the data type as auto number. And the second one is item type description. With the field type, data type as short text. And the field size is 15. So instead of 255 for the field size, you want it to be 15 for the item type description. After you do that, you want to ensure that the item type ID is set to primary key. So you just highlight item type ID up here and click primary key. Everyone follow? Once you've done that, we're going to add two records. So we're going to go to data sheet view. Once you do that, it asks you to save it. So you're just going to save it as item types. Once you've saved it as item types, hit OK. So there should be blank fields over here. And we're adding the two new fields, action figure and poster, as the description. The item type type ID should auto-populate. So once you type in action figure, you should see number 1 pop up for your item type ID. And then poster as well. This is B2. Everyone got that? Now we're just going to save and close it. Step 4, we're going to open the inventory table in design view. And set the inventory quantity and the item type ID field to required. So we're just going to click on inventory quantity right here. Find the required section and change that to yes for inventory quantity and item type ID. Both of them should be changed to yes. And then we're going to establish a validation rule to the inventory quantity field that requires the value to be greater than or equal to 0. So we're going to click the inventory quantity, and the validation rule we want it to have is greater than or equal to 0. Make sure it's the greater than sign. Equal to 0. With the validation text, the value of this field must be 0 or greater with a period. Everyone follow along? It's on the Word doc. You can just, yeah. The value of this field must be 0 or greater. Once you've done that, we're going to save the table. So right click, save. Data integrity rules must have been changed. You just hit yes. And then you're going to go to data sheet view. try to change that inventory quantity. So instead of 36, you want it to be -2. But when you change it to -2 and hit enter, your validation text pops up. So the text that you wrote, the value of this field must be 0 greater. So you see that your validation rule is working properly, and you just hit OK, and then hit escape on your keyboard to get it back to 36. So you're not really changing anything. You're just testing that your validation rule and your validation text are working. Everyone follow along? Once you've done that, you can close the inventory table. And then we're going to open the employees table in design view. Once you open the employee table in design view, we're going to add a phone number input mask for the phone field. So the input mask over here, so you're just going to click on phone first, phone field. Then the input mask, you see in the general section, you find input mask. With the 3 dots, you're going to go click on that. So the input mask wizard appears. We want it to be phone number, you hit next. Input mask is the phone number format, hit next. And you're going to store it with the symbols in the mask. And then you hit next, and then you hit finish. Everyone got that part? Anyone confused? You good? Alright, and then you're just going to save and close the table. And then it says open inventory table in design view. And we want to change the data type for the item type ID. So you see the data type over here? We want to change that using the drop down. And we want it to be a lookup wizard. So with the drop down, you're going to click lookup wizard. So the data type is going to be lookup, where it looks up values from another table. Once the lookup wizard appears, you hit next. And it says you want to select the item types table. Yeah, so you're going to click the item types table right here, and then hit next. And you want both these fields, so you're just going to hit that double arrow, so both fields transfer over. And then hit next. And then you want, it says default sort, so you don't have to change anything here. So hit next. And then make sure the high key column is checked off. And then hit next. And then accept the default name, item type ID. And then hit finish. The table must be saved before, and you hit yes. Anyone need help with that lookup wizard? Once you've done that, we're going to go back to data sheet view over here. And we're going to check if our lookup wizard worked. So if we go check the item type ID and click that drop down and change it to poster, you see it worked. We have like a whole lookup action working over here. And it just wants it to check if it works and change it back to action figure. So make sure the first thing is action figure. Once you change it back to action figure, you're just going to close the table. Step 8, we're going to open the final inventory query in design view. So final inventory query in design view. And it says the user should be prompted to enter threshold. The query should display all results that are less than or equal to the threshold but greater than or equal to 1. So the criteria that we're putting in for inventory quantity is between 1 and the input that the user puts. So the function we're using is between, so we're just going to type in between 1 and so whenever you want the user to input something into the query, in the criteria you always put a bracket, and then so for us the bracket's going to entitle enter threshold, bracket. So it should be between 1 and enter threshold. Everyone got that right? Once you type that in, we're gonna run the query, and you see the prompt appears to enter a parameter value, and it says enter threshold, and we want the threshold to be 2. We're just gonna type in 2, and then hit OK. So you should have 2 records appearing. So there are 2 records between 1 and 2 for the inventory quantity. And it says save and then close the query. Yeah. Yeah.
And like I knew you were gonna come like
Anyone else confused on that part? Yeah.
Did you notice that?
If you like, fall behind, I'll come back. After you've done that, we're gonna save and close it. Now we're gonna open the rounded item prices query in design view. So rounded item prices query in design view. And we're creating a new column to round the retail price of each item to the nearest dollar. Over here, so in the new column, remember before we created expressions? So we're gonna do the expression builder. And the expression is gonna be rounded retail. With a colon, and then the expression is gonna round, so we're gonna use a round function. The retail field with a precision of 0. Everyone got that? Yeah?
Where's the expression builder?
It's like this little wand thing right here. You see it? In the query setup? Yeah. So the name of the expression is rounded retail. We're rounding the retail field to the 0 precision. So round, parenthesis, bracket, retail, bracket, comma, 0 parenthesis. If you can't see it, I think I'm right there. Everyone got that? And then hit OK. And then we're going to save the query. So right click save. And then we're gonna create a new column over here, again using the expression builder. This field's gonna be named class with the colon. And it's gonna be a if function, so a true false statement. So it's gonna be a double if function. So if the rounded retail that we created, so rounded retail that we created is greater than or equal to 35. So if the rounded retail value is more than 35, premium for all items that have rounded retail values of 35 or more, and standard for items that are less than 35. So if it's greater than 35 and it's true, we want it to print premium, so quotations premium. So whenever you want to print a text, you put in quotations. So quotations premium, and then you do comma. If it's less than 35, you want it to print. If it's false, then you want it to print standard.
Is there a comma after the 35?
Yeah. So it's this one. So you see how this function is working? Rounded retail is greater or equal to 35. If that's true, we get premium. But if that's false, we're going to get standard. So that's the if function. That's a true false statement that we just created with that expression builder. Everyone got that? So you hit OK. So we just created that function. And then it says run the query. So once you run it, you see over here, your retail was rounded to 15 with the round function. And then it was less than 35, so it printed standard. And over here, where it's greater than 45, greater than 35, it printed premium. So you see our expressions working properly. And we're just gonna save and close it. Now we're opening the overdue employees reviews query in design view. And we're adding a column. We're adding a column with another true if statement for the review status. And for the review status, it's another if function again, a true false statement. The true parts. So what it's testing is if the date, so if you type in bracket date of last review, that field, if the date of last review is null, meaning if it is empty, is null. That's what is null means. Is null means that the field is empty. So if date of last review is empty, the true part of it, we want it to print overdue. So parenthesis overdue. Quotations overdue. Sorry. And then if it's not overdue, it should display nothing. So for it to display nothing, you just put 2 quotation marks. So there's nothing between the quotation marks, and that's what it prints. So it should look like this one. Once you got that in there, you hit OK. And then we want to put the criteria in as overdue. Because we wanted to only get the overdue statuses.
Is that in quotation?
Yeah, the overdue is in quotation. Once you've done that, you just hit rerun it. So now you see all your reviews are overdue because their date of last review is late. And then you save and close the query.